The fields of Morocco have just gone through a busy harvest season, but farmers keep complaining that wild boars have significantly reduced their yields. As the harvesting process takes place, the wild boars begin fleeing toward the nearby mountains to hide. On the vast fields, controlling wild boars is extremely difficult because they are experts at hiding and only come out to feed at night. It is only during harvest season that we see them fleeing the fields in astonishing numbers. Their invasion causes severe damage to crops, reducing yields and making life difficult for farmers. To prevent this, we are forced to organize hunting trips, hoping to control this destructive population. We set out early in the morning, heading toward the wild mountain beside the field. Many other hunting groups joined in, with vehicles rushing forward one after another. In front of us stood a tall mountain with dense vegetation, the perfect hideout for wild boars. The hunting dogs didn't take long to search, and soon we found our first target. Gunshots rang out repeatedly. Other hunters had likely already begun the hunt. Seeing the prize, a massive wild boar, made me more excited than ever. I quickly joined the battle, ready to take down more wild boars. From the dense bushes, a wild boar suddenly burst out at high speed. Waiting for this very moment, I immediately fired, hitting the target straight on. The wild boar collapsed on the spot with no chance of escape. At the foot of the mountain, the recently harvested fields looked barren, and the hunting dogs quickly tracked down another target. The moment it suddenly charged out of the bushes, seemingly ready to attack me, the gunshot rang out. Fortunately, I managed to take down the wild boar just in time before it could harm me. These wild boars are extremely aggressive, so we must be extra cautious while hunting. Many wild boars were still hiding in the dry grass, and our only choice was to track them down and eliminate them quickly. The thrill of ambushing and taking down wild boars was incredible, as we knew they were the ones destroying agriculture. In the thick grass, a fat wild boar was struggling against the hunting dogs. Although it tried to flee, I managed to fire a timely shot. Everything unfolded perfectly. We successfully took down the wild boar after an exhausting pursuit. The dogs were just as excited about this prize, barking loudly in triumph. Scattered all around were the wild boars we had hunted. Just when we thought the wild boars had been chased away or had escaped, a gigantic one suddenly charged out of the bushes. Its heavy steps gave me enough time to aim precisely. Without needing a second shot, I took it down perfectly. The wild boar was like a fierce beast, but it could not overcome me. I was quite surprised by the enormous size of the wild boars in this field. However, hunting such massive targets only heightened the excitement. These were the kind of prey I wanted to take down. The farmers and hunters continued targeting wild boars in the mountains. We organized and assigned tasks to coordinate the hunt more effectively. Pushing through the dense bushes, we searched for our next targets. About half an hour later, a wild boar suddenly dashed down the mountainside, forcing me to adjust my aim and fire immediately. After a series of shots, the wild boar was finally taken down. Soon after, more wild boars appeared. We had to focus our aim on the opposite mountainside. The gunfire was relentless, and the chase was intense. We were determined not to let any wild boars escape. Moving further through the mountains, we found more wild boars hiding. Those within a favorable distance became my next targets. One by one, I fired precise shots, causing the wild boars to collapse and roll down the slope. From the distant mountainside, gunfire continued to echo as hunters eagerly celebrated their successful kills. I didn't miss my chance either. I carefully observed and fired decisively. The hunting dogs were a huge help, relentlessly chasing the wild boars and driving them into a panic. Thanks to them, we had a better opportunity to take accurate shots. The wild boar hunting expedition to protect the fields had been a great success. We had eliminated a significant number of wild boars, helping to reduce their population. However, these battles will continue as the wild boar population grows rapidly. In recent years, the increase in the number of wild boars has become a serious problem for many farms. An adult wild boar can weigh from 80 to 150 kilograms, with a body length of up to 1.5 m, and their strength allows them to destroy fences, causing considerable damage to farmers. In particular, this herd of wild boars can destroy entire crops in just one night, or destroy livestock barns. The serious problem is that wild boars have the ability to reproduce very quickly. A female can give birth to 6 to 12 piglets per year. The overpopulation of this species has caused farmers and livestock keepers to face terrible losses. The situation was now very urgent. We immediately started preparing for a wild boar hunt that night. Each of us in our group brought a specialized hunting weapon, flashlight, and thermal scope to observe the target in the dark. With the support of modern technology, we could observe the entire farm area and detect the location of the wild boars as soon as they started to attack. The action plan was very simple, but no less dangerous. We divided the team into small groups. Each group would approach from different directions to ensure that the wild boars could not escape or counterattack. After about 30 minutes of waiting, dark shadows appeared and disappeared behind the grass. The wild boars were about 500 meters from the farm area. The thermal scope showed that the saboteurs were gradually entering the farmland. We decided to attack from two directions. 7. The first target was a wandering wild boar, which would be a good opportunity to attack. After just a few seconds, a gunshot rang out, and the wild boar weighing more than 100 kilograms collapsed. The gunshot caused the herd of wild boars to panic, and they scattered and ran into the nearby forest area. Continuously firing, we took down 5 more wild boars.
Hey, what you got there, bud?
After the wild boars dispersed, we decided to move and search for a target. The results showed that a group of 20 wild boars were gathering near the grassy area. However, things were not too difficult as the thermal scope allowed us to aim accurately. Although the weapon was equipped with a silencer, the continuous attack also caused the wild boars to panic. Unable to miss the opportunity, I immediately asked for support from my teammates. In the dark night, the gunshots kept ringing, and the saboteurs were eliminated one by one. We thought that the wild boars had retreated, but when we got closer, we suddenly discovered another herd of wild boars preparing to attack the barn area. Changing tactics, we attracted the attention of the wild boars with our cries. Then, seizing the opportunity, we aimed accurately at the vital spot and pulled the trigger. Perfect. 1 shot, 1 kill. Moving to the surrounding lands, as we approached the cultivated area, the herd of wild boars appeared from different directions. In particular, there were a few wild boars weighing more than 120 kilograms, extremely ferocious, destroying a cultivated area. We decided to surround and attack from many sides. With extremely fast reflexes, I shot accurately and took down this giant wild boar in just a few seconds. After 10 minutes of intense fighting, we continued to take down 10 more wild boars. Taking advantage of the chaos, a few targets escaped. Quickly following the trail, with their cunning, they used the tall and dense grass as shelter. However, that was completely meaningless. In the end, the wild boar herd was completely destroyed. After the bloody battle that night, we proceeded to clean up the battlefield. The carcasses of the wild boars were taken out of the farm area to avoid attracting other animals. The wild boar meat will be processed and used for economic purposes.
Fruit-laden orchard suddenly becomes a battlefield when a pack of ferocious wild boars rushes in, destroying everything in their path. What will farmer do to protect his year of hard work from the destruction of these wild animals? Let's follow the fierce battle between humans and wild boars in the dramatic and breathtaking chase right after. Dawn broke, our group left the small village and headed into the hills, where wild boars were wreaking havoc on crops. Vast fields of grain and lush orchards looked like a peaceful picture, but the peace was quickly shattered when a herd of wild boars appeared, stirring up chaos right before our eyes. A large herd of wild boars had penetrated deep into the orchard. We quickly split into two teams. One group surrounded the outside of the orchard, while the agile hounds charged straight inside. Chasing the pigs began to move in a chaotic manner, barking loudly, and then a small wild boar ran out of the trees with the frightened look on his face. I was ready, a shotgun in my hand, aimed straight at the target. Boom! Broke the silence. A perfect shot. Wild boar staggered and then collapsed. A miserable cry rang out. But this was the price it had to pay for the destruction it had caused.